Imagine being 40 years old. No house, no money, no job, sleeping in your car with your young son in the back seat. Most people would give up. Most people would accept that life had beaten them. But one man looked at that car, looked at his sleeping child, and made a decision that would change everything. This is the story of Paul DeJoria, the man who went from homeless to $1 billion, twice. Paul DeJoria was born in 1944 in Los Angeles, California. Life was never easy for him. By the time he was just 9 years old, his parents had already separated. With no money to support their children, John and his brother were sent to live in a foster home. At 10 years old, John was already selling Christmas cards and newspapers on the streets just to survive. While other kids played, John worked. While other kids dreamed, John struggled. He joined the U.S. Navy at 18, served his country, then came back to a world that had nothing waiting for him. He tried job after job, selling encyclopedias door to door, working at a tow truck company, drifting from one low-paying job to another. Nothing stuck, nothing worked. And then things got even worse. John got married young, had a son he loved more than anything in the world. But the marriage fell apart, and suddenly John found himself alone, broke, and responsible for a young child. He lost his home. He lost his stability. He lost everything. With nowhere to go and no money in his pocket, John did something that most people cannot even imagine. He put his son in the back of his car, and that car became their home. Every night, John would make sure his son was comfortable and sleeping. Then he would sit in the front seat, staring at the darkness, wondering how he would survive the next day. He collected recycled bottles just to buy food. He knocked on doors looking for work. Rejection after rejection after rejection. People looked at this homeless man and saw nothing, no potential, no future, no hope. But John saw something they didn't. He saw one last chance. You see, during his difficult years, John had worked briefly at a hair care company. He had learned a little about the industry, and he had met a hairdresser named Paul Mitchell. Together they had a dream to create their own hair care products. But dreams need money. And John had exactly $700 to his name. $700. That was it. That was everything standing between him and total failure. In 1980, Paul DeJoria and Paul Mitchell started their company with those $700. John went back to doing what he knew best, knocking on doors. But this time he wasn't begging for a job. He was selling a dream. He walked into hair salons across Los Angeles with his products, and he heard the same word over and over again. No, no thank you, not interested. Come back later. We already have suppliers. Rejection had become his oldest companion. But John had learned something important from his years of struggle. He had learned that rejection is not the end. It is just part of the process. So he kept going, door after door, salon after salon, city after city. Slowly, one salon said yes, then another, then another. The products were genuinely good. Hairdressers loved them. Word started to spread. Within a year, Paul Mitchell hair products were in salons across California. Within 5 years, they were across America. Within 10 years, they were across the world. The homeless man who slept in his car was now running a multi-million-dollar company. But John was not finished. In the early 1990s, John met a man named Martin Crowley. Martin had an idea for a premium tequila, something the world had never seen before. A tequila so smooth, so refined, that it would change the entire industry. John believed in the idea. He invested, and Patrón Tequila was born. Today, Patrón is one of the most recognized spirit brands in the world. John sold his stake in Patrón in 2018 for over $1 billion. The man who had $700 and a car as his home now had $1 billion and a legacy that will last forever. So what can we learn from Paul DeJoria? First, your past does not determine your future. John was homeless not once but twice in his life. Most people would have accepted that as their destiny. John refused. Second, rejection is not failure. John was rejected hundreds of times before anyone said yes. Every no was simply moving him closer to his yes. Third, start with what you have. $700. That is all he had. He didn't wait for perfect conditions. He didn't wait for more money. He didn't wait for the right moment. He started with what he had, where he was. And finally, your struggles are preparing you for something greater. Every night John spent in that car, every door that was slammed in his face, every person who said he would never make it, all of it was building the strength, the resilience, and the character he needed to handle billion-dollar success. Your setback is not the end of your story. It is just the beginning of your greatest chapter. If Paul DeJoria's story moved you even a little, if it reminded you that no matter how dark things get, there is always a way forward, then this channel was made for you. Every week, we bring you real stories of real people who fell to the very bottom and rose higher than anyone thought possible. Because we believe one thing here at Rise from Ashes: every setback is a setup for a comeback. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss a story, and leave a comment below. What part of John's story hit you hardest? We read every single comment. Until next time, keep rising.